just click and upload your video. At the moment, one video equals one project equals one video. This might change in the future, but at the moment, this is how Mago works. So my workflow is pretty simple. I will just grab the first frame. So we're going to work with V3. And at the moment, V3 starts with a stylization. So the way that this works is I'm just going to right click here, and I'm just going to save this frame. Whenever you're working here, you can just right click, save the frame. I'm going to save it here. And now I have multiple options. The first one, and the one that will be added, so at the moment there's image to image with Mago, and there's also image to image with Flux Context that we'll be adding, I think, next week. If you want to give it a try, the current version of image to image works like this. Basically, you can, when you are in project, you can generate image, or you can go in a track and create image right here. So first of all, we can always make sure that if you go to advanced, you're selecting the V3 model. If you don't, this is like a old animate diff like workflow. So if you want the video model V3, make sure that this is selected. And now we're going to go and either go to create image or generate image. This is pretty much the same. Here, for example, I'm going to be using the frame 0, but I can actually use any frame that I want, depending on when I start. So for example, one, but maybe I want to start at frame, and I can actually input the frame here, the exact frame here. So let's say I want to start at frame 35. I go to generate image. You will see that I'm stylizing frame 35. I can also change it here directly. And I'm mostly going to work off of style generations here. Let's try, for example, let's try to turn her into Triss from The Witcher. So you upload an image here as a style reference. And then for the prompt, actually, don't bother prompting. I just take the image description and add that to the prompt with a button right here. Here in the tabs, I'm just going to increase the number of steps, which is something that I can easily do because this is an image generation, it's not video generation, so it's fine. Going to increase the image weights a bit so that it actually uses more of that input image that I just added. Decrease denoise, which means that this is going to preserve a bit more of the original image. In this case, I want it to closely. The whole point of this model, the Mago model, is to preserve the composition and the outlines of the initial image. I'm going to check out my control nets. I don't want the tile. I don't need it. I'm just going to decrease canny a little bit. I'm going to decrease canny resolution because the canny resolution, when it's super high, it generates a lot of details, and I don't want that. I don't want it to create like weird things in my image. I'm going to hit generate, and this is going to generate my first image right here. You can already start iterating, like maybe I want to create something with this, let's say, let's use this dude right here, this elf right here. Of course, I'm going to update the prompt as well. And I'm just going to launch and generate it right away. Now, this is one way of working that is what you have currently in production. This is very useful to be very close to the first frame. But actually, right now, V3 is quite permissive, and you can actually use something that is not exactly the final look. So this is where Flux Context comes in. So can everyone see Flux? Remy, can you? Okay. So here, just go here and choose my first frame here. And the way the Flux Context works is just by prompting. So let's just say a robot. I haven't tried this one before. I tried other versions, and we'll see. So we click run. What I always like to do when I'm working with Mago and image to image, like I jump from one project and one thing to the other, so I'm able to check different things. So because usually you'll get a first result, and then you get a result here, and so on. Okay, so we got multiple results. So this one's pretty fun. It's kind of weird, but it's a bit funky. It's kind of weird. You can see this, like there's some weird stuff going on. This is like SDXL base, so it's like SDXL level of detail and quality. But actually, let's say it's pretty fun. Like, at least we have these two artists who are behind her. If you remember here, it made up another face. And actually, if we went to refine it, it comes from the image weight. Probably the image weight is too strong, so it's using the same image weight for the whole image, the whole picture. So let's load the settings back again. As you can see, the image is a close-up portrait. So of course, if we have a lot of background, it's going to try and generate that portrait in the background as well, which is something I would want to avoid. So I use load settings to load the settings of the image and refine it. So then I go to advanced. I'm going to decrease the image influence, maybe increase the image prompt influence a bit. If I were to do things properly, maybe I would first try and read, like, let's remove the Alphonse movie highlight. That's like, look at the prompt first, try and see if it's actually worth it, worth adding more CFG, and we generate a new image. This one, I think we have the same problem. Like, it's actually pretty creepy, but it's funny. But yeah, it's like actually adding the portraits and the background as well. So let's load these settings as well, and let's do the same thing. Increase this a bit more. Actually, this time around, I'm not sure. Maybe like this. And this should be fine, I think. Again, moving Risha, I don't know why it's prompting this, but generate a new image. And we see that in Flux, we actually got a robot. So let's try it. Let's download this, but I don't know, like, this is a bit weird. Let's say, what about an elf? Maybe it will be a bit better. So now, once I have a few images, what I will do is I will go to the source track that I created here, and I will just add a reference. Let's try the robot. What I like to do is, usually this comes from the previous model. You test 8 frames. I would say 8 frames is not enough for V3. V3 is a video model. You want to test motion pretty fast. I would advise you to go like from 16 to 24. So let's try 16. I will do this with the frame range here. So as you can see, the button right here moves with the frame range right here. So for example, if I have this range that goes from 0 to 29, I input this right here, 16, and now this button will actually generate frames, would transform or stylize, render frames 0 to 16. V3, in terms of prompt, actually you don't have to prompt much because it's mostly driven by the first frame. But for the sake of it, let's try to, I don't know, white robot singing. Let's leave it at that. As for the other settings, let's just again make sure that you have V3 checked here. 1280 is fine. You can actually go as low as 1024, I think. 1280, 1224. Let's say 1080. And all the rest is good. All the rest is good. You don't need to touch it. For the face mesh, you would enable this because the face mesh option allows you to use the face mesh control net, which is very important if your character is singing or whatever. Because the control net that I'm selecting here at this moment, we can only select one at a time for this version. It's depth, and depth has no face movement or lip sync information. So if you want the character to sing and follow the lip movements of the original video, make sure that face mesh is enabled. So let's give it a try. I found that functionality to maintain the exact version. Yes. Yes, it helps with coherence of the image. But what I want to show as well is that V3 is, face mesh, I think, might not be in production. It will be this week, I guess, or the next. This week, I think, maybe. But what I want to show is that V3 is very permissive. So even if you don't match the exact first frame, it will try to adapt. But this is sort of where you have some freedom and where you have to sort of try some things, because of course, the more different it is, the more chances that it will just break. And the closer it is, the more certain you are that it will actually yield the exact result that you're looking for. So we launched the render here. What I like to do is, if you do Shift D, it duplicates your track. So this is a way of like very quickly working with Mago, like Shift D, you just create multiple tracks. I'm not even going to actually let's try to go here. It created an elf. Okay, like just pointy ears. We'll see if that works well. And let's see if it works well if I put like a vampire with red eyes and blood on the corner of her mouth. Fangs. With fangs. I said I'm not super good at prompting with context, but let's give it a try as well. So let's say for this one, we can try to delete this image. Let's add another one. Let's try this elf. Let's just put, let's not, no effort, just elf singing. Yeah, let's just leave it at that. Let's launch a new one. For this one, I think, no, that's the problem with using, this is why we're going to integrate also Mago, is that for some reason, like it's super sensitive in terms of not safe for work stuff. I guess it's the blood, so a vampire with red eyes, pale skin. Yeah, let's try like that. Fingers crossed. But Mago is not super censorship. We're not super worried about censorship, so this type of stuff that we wouldn't do in our own API. So, but this is by using Flux. Let's take a look at some of the ways that you can do this within Mago already. So if we go back to create image, so you can either go here or here, create image. Here you can see the image that we've created before. So if you want to download an image, you can just click here as well. It will download it. Like we said, you can load the settings here, or you can use it. And here we can see the new images that are generated. So I guess I didn't do good enough work. You should be able to pretty easily remove it, but you need to play with the settings a little bit. Let's actually use this one. So if you click use this, it will add this here to the image reference right here. And let's put here male elf singing. And just leave it like that. And here, yeah, we can also send to generate. Here, let's go to create image as well. Let's pick this up, use this. This time around, I don't know if the model will understand tris, but we can say red-headed singer with 2 musicians in the background. Illustration. And we tried like that. We have this one that let's just cover it. No, this one didn't work. So you see this one, this one was too different, I guess, from the original one. However, what you need to take into account, I guess that's one of the big learnings of working with video models. The frame range matters a lot. So for example, this is the result that it produced with this context of information. So if you were to update the frame range from 0 to 48, for example, you will get different results, which is also, and here again, Shift D to create a new version, and you generate and you send it right out. So this is also why I like to use shortcuts in Mago. It allows you to move really, really fast. This is why I like duplicating myself. Actually, it's just a very quick way of working. Let's go back to Flux context. Actually, this time around, it did a decent job actually just transforming her into this band, guest band member. Not exactly what I was going for, but it's actually pretty cool. So we can also do a new one with this. Let's, for example, try to go for this one and add this one here, and let's give it a go. So again, this time around, 0 to 16, generate Let's go. Oops. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this one works. And this one is like sort of more like a VFX use case. You can see that the first frame wasn't exactly the first frame. And you can actually like control click to compare with another track. So I have this track selected, control click here, and I'm able to compare the two. I can also put them side by side. And if you go here, I can, with a keyboard arrows, I can scroll through frames. And you can see that the first one is not, it's on the right one, but after one frame, it sort of latches onto the video, and it's fine. This is like a way to like, so low cost GI, adding pointy ears to your singer if you want. And now you can video in side by side. So you can go back here and you can put the book like this, and you can see how it works. It's a bit different though. You might want to refine it a bit, refine the image. We lost the guy because he wasn't on the image. So you want to refine it a bit, but this is a pretty good starting point. You can see that, okay, this is working. And we also had some results here. They work. They're a bit creepy, albeit, but they work. And this one as well. But again, to a point that I was mentioning before, so Shift D to duplicate, and then I'm going to launch a render here. Shift D, and I'm going to launch a render from 0 to 48 here, and we'll check to see if there are any differences. Let's tag these, like these both work. This kind of worked, I guess. And this one was a failure. So I'll mark it down to make sure that, so this one doesn't work. If we go back to generate image, actually, I think that one was pretty cool. Yeah, this one worked pretty well as well. So you can see like low cost VFX. If you want to transform your singer, for example, if you're like doing a music video, oops, shit, I moved this wrong. You can actually move your tracks if you want to reorganize them. So this one also, let's try to see how it behaves if I launch it for 48 frames. Now, if I go back to Flux, actually, no, before I go back to Flux, there are other use cases that we can take a look at, but before, I just want to take a look at the different comparison options. So control click, you can side by side this. This is actually pretty useful to compare with the original video to see what it's catching, like how is it behaving. For example, here, the mouth is being tracked pretty well, but not perfectly. So this is the type of thing that you might want to iterate, but this is where you can sort of try and understand like where does something come from. Sometimes you will get errors, but they might come from, let's see if I can catch some. Let's see. I cannot find it, but for example, if you got motion blur, it will generate problems, but it's because of the motion blur. Video to video, it's very much a garbage in, garbage out thing that sometimes you might get something that's messed up. And you might think that it's because you need to iterate on the settings, but it's actually because the video has motion blur or it's pixelated and it's just not working well. But it's because the original video is crap to begin with. You can also compare multiple versions. So you can compare these two side by side. There's a neat panel here that shows the difference in settings. So that's pretty cool. If you want to, for example, check at the moment, actually, in this case, the differences are just the image. But for example, let's say I want to work with this one. In fact, let's grab this one. Okay. Thanks. See, this one worked. Another super creepy. It's super creepy, but let's say, for example, this one, creepy as hell, but it works. And it's because you got more context that it can latch onto. So you got it. Creepy ass robot, but it works. So yeah, sometimes you'll try something with it. Hence my point again, you need to try for more frames because the video model needs this context to understand the video and apply it. But to what you're saying, Vito, that you can try to maintain consistency and so on. Just compare the two videos and see, like, there's pretty much nothing in common. Like, yeah, it's sort of roughly the same framing, but it's able to like paste this into the video and make this result. So that's pretty cool. There's an understanding of the context of the model. But you can also compare up to 4 tracks. So, and you can play them side by side. So at the moment we don't have a lot of frames to work with anyway, but so you can see like what works, what doesn't work, and you can see the different settings. For example, if I were to go here, if I again shift YouTube to duplicate, I go to controllable. For now, we only try depth, but we can also use pose, normal maps, and soft edge. I would advise against using normal map and soft edge at the moment because it's super buggy. So I would say just use depth and pose. Depth is generally very good all-purpose way of working with video models. Pose is a bit more erratic, but for example, for dance and so on, it's interesting, especially if you don't need to, if you want to just have the pose of the character and turn the character into something else, it can be very useful. For example, if you want to turn a character, like let's say a very thin female into a big ogre, the depth model is going to, the depth controller is going to struggle because the outlines of the characters are very different. But if you use pose, it will just apply the same pose to that ogre, and it should work. But as you will see, let's try it. Like again for 48 frames, you go for 48 frames. Can you imagine for the robot version to only keep the singer and get this brown background from the reference? If so, what do you mean, Alexandre? You want to? So if I go back to the robot, so you want to keep this background and not have the background from like not having this, right? That's what you mean? Like this, you want all this to be brown. Okay. I think it should be doable. But in this type of use case, what it would do in that case is, and they were working on that as well, is I would just mask. It would be the best way to control that. But yeah, definitely you can. You definitely can. You can also do it through prompting. So one thing that you can do that I don't really do right now, at the moment, you might be experiencing a lot of out of memory errors. Yeah, first of all, you can first generate the first frame properly. And in fact, you can do this in 2 steps. Like you could then reuse this, like you can take this frame and rework it, just make this just remove everything here and use it. But also you can increase the prompt. So basically on V3, if you go here to advanced, if you increase the steps, you will go towards your prompt. So for example, if you put plain background, it will go towards your prompt. You can also increase the CFG. So you can play around with these. At the moment, I don't do that too much because this week or last week, we had a lot of out-of-memory errors. So we're updating the render engine this week, actually tomorrow, to try and fix that. But this is why I've been sort of very careful not to go too much into steps, but you can already do this. Let's just run it for like maybe 24 frames and we'll see how it goes. So yeah, why did I launch 2 of these? Oh yeah, this one's longer. 10-second clip. Yes, that was one of the questions that we had. So at the moment, as you can see, it's capped at 200 frames. The 200 frames cap is a bit arbitrary. It's more of an inherited from a previous model, which is V2, V2.5. What we're working on, and I don't know if we will release this next week or the next, so either next, not tomorrow, but next Tuesday or the next, we're going to be releasing a new approach that should It's like this should enable you to disable this, or at least increase the frame range drastically. So at the moment, what I do, and let me see if I can show you an example of how I do it. I have so many of these. Like I think I have one example here with this tiger right here. Yeah, so at the moment, the way that I do it is I just have 2 clips. So this is 200 frames, and then I have this one. I have 10 frames of buffer in between them, and then I just open them in Premiere and I blend them, and it works seamlessly. I know that that's annoying, so we're making a few changes to do that. The first change is that now when you export, you will have the frame range in the export name, so that it's easy to find it in Premiere and so on. But like I said, we're working on extending the duration, and the way that this will work, like it will be done under the hood, but this should sort of divide your render in multiple chunks, so that it will render one chunk and then one chunk and then one chunk and so on until you got your 10 seconds. So for a 10-second clip at 24 frames per second, like it's 240 frames. It's not that far from what we will be able to get. So it shouldn't be a problem. But this is like in 1 week or 2 weeks. Burning of second batch, no difference. For the burning and overcooking, I think I can show you an example that's pretty clear for those who don't know what Vito is talking about. This is what he's talking about. So let me see. In this clip, you can see that we start with this style. So you can compare this moment, and then you go to, we go to this. You can already see that it's a bit more saturated, a bit like there's some exposure differences, and then you go here. So if I just click from here to here, you can see that there's difference. But this is something that's actually we're pushing a fix this week, or again the next. I think it's this week on the overcooking side. So I wouldn't worry too much in trying to fix this manually at the moment, because we're actively working on doing something. But yeah, the only way that I found to fix this at this point is to do a bit of post-processing in After Effects or Premiere or DaVinci. But this is something that should be fixed very soon. As you can see here, the way that I did this is I have a few frames of buffer that allow me to blend from one clip to the next. And that's how I'm able to get frames from 0 to 212. So where was I? Oh yeah, which one small trick. If you're moving around in your timeline, if you double click, it goes to the first frame of that clip. Very useful when you have clips that are all over the place. And why would you have clips all over the place? You say, well, sometimes it's because you want to test a specific section of your clip, or it's because you want to render multiple chunks of your clip, or it's because, like in a very long clip, you would just want to render like 30 seconds at a certain point. So that's why you might have your clips all over the place. Let's go back to Caroline. So there we go. We have our male lead singer with his creepy friends in the background, and they're all working. We have Triss, a sort of Triss Marigold from The Witcher as well, and we have creepy Caroline Polachek here as well. So all of these were pretty cool. Let's see, did I make that was the last one I made. And yeah, another thing I wanted to mention, sometimes when I like to work fast. To me, that's one of the points of using Mago as opposed to other tools. It's being able to move really fast. Sometimes we get some people saying like, oh, we want the timeline on the bottom, like a video editing tool. It's not a video editing tool, and also you very quickly find yourself, because you have to iterate a lot. Like I said, if you stop at some point, because this, for example, didn't work. You cannot do that. You have to try again. If anything, because you might just change the seed and it will work. But you can just tweak some settings. You can just try it again and it will work. Like you go from this, like, oh no, it's not working. Actually, just increase the frame range. It will work. It will be creepy, but it will work. Like, and then based off of that, maybe you will want to remove the hair or use another first frame and so on. And this is how you will end up with a list of renders. And this is the whole point of how Mago is built, so that you can sort of try and find the best renders like this, and then you can move them around. So let's say this one is actually the best one. You want to move the best ones to the top. This one was better. And you keep organized. And you can rename them, like let's say toxic guy. We know that that's a fuckboy. So let's say, let's click. No, let's be PG-13. I don't know. And yeah, and for example, here to hide this, Shift S. So super quick. You'll take a look at your renders. You want to see, okay, what were the settings of this? Shift S, and you take a look. You want to iterate, Shift D. You want to, okay, increase maybe this, increase this, up, change the range, generate, boom. So this is why the Mago is designed this way. It's designed to move fast. So if you ever find yourself like just clicking around, yeah, it means that you're not really using it to its full potential. We had some tests, with some questions also on using it. And I was doing some other tests, like trying to stylize it into different characters. So we can try these as well. So for example, one use case I find pretty cool is trying to do like fantasy content, sci-fi content, and so on that you wouldn't been able to do before. So let's make sure that we're in V3. Let's go here back to basic. Actually, let's go here, create image. You'll find your image right here. Let's use this. Boom. Let's replace the prompt, and actually let's just put an illustration of an old elf. Concept art. And let's just let's put this at 16 frame maybe. Generate. Again, Shift D, new render. No, I want to create an image here. Let's use this. For this one, I really don't know how I would call this. I can show the video description. Elf wizard. Okay, yeah, maybe. Elf wizard. With a 2 rough animation image color version of it. Yes. Yes, okay, so first I'll take the simpler question first, from Fink and Angel. If I load these settings right here, so it's a good prompt. So for this model, I think a fully rich prompt is good. For context, actually a very simple prompt is better, I guess. And this one actually was pretty, I didn't touch many things. I think just steps pre-classic, image width pre-classic. It's all pretty classic, I guess. I just reduced the tile. I guess this is more because it comes from an image. So generally speaking, if you want to create an image with a style reference, if the style reference is actually close to what you want to do, it helps a lot. For example, if you're trying to derive the style from a portrait to a screenshot of a character. If you do something weird or wild, like you take your input image is, your style reference is a cat, and you want to add that to a car, yeah, like you can try and derive the style, but still, like it's much easier if you have something that closely resembles. But you can play around with this quite a bit. You can play around with this quite a bit, but I would say like spending time creating this style reference image goes a long way. So let's say like we use this. Actually, this was already there. And for the image, oil painting, I guess we can do this. It's not great, but like I said, for V3, the prompt is not that critical. So let's try depth with face mesh. Oh, I forgot the face mesh for this one. And like just so that you see the difference. Let's use all of them. And that's another thing that you can do with Mago, especially when you're using credits. You can launch a lot of tests, and they will just go to the queue, and they will be picked up whenever there's a VM ready for them. So this is also this is why I like to work fast and just launch a bunch of this to the queue. Vito, yes, this is more in that case, definitely. But it's also because that's the prompting style for V3. It has to be very concise because it derives a lot of information from the image. So there are chances that your prompt will be more confusing than anything for the model. So oftentimes, like if you were to not even prompt anything, it will be fine. In many models, I think the big issue comes from how people prompt, because for different models, there are different ways to prompt. So yeah. Alexandre, you ask can we imagine to start with a rough animation, make a color version? Yes, I actually didn't have time to prepare this properly, but I have this right here. I had running 3D. These were some old examples, very old examples. But for example, I did this before. It was a bit weird, but yeah, you can see like you take this running animation cycle, clay render, and then you make this like little mecha character. And I don't know, like this time around, we can maybe try and do something live. I have some renders in progress, but let's say for the sake of the argument, so we go back to the first frame. Oh, yeah, if you can see here, and I'm sure you can see like there are some ghosting traces right here. So sometimes you'll see something funky in your render. If you actually pay attention to your original source, like it's because it was funky to begin with. So let's save the image, and we can try both. So let's try one here, during the image. What kind of character could I add? I don't know. Let's find actually an anime man running. Let's see if it works. I guess there's too much detail here, but let's still try it. Should be pretty good. Like ideally, I would say it's even better to flip this image because there's a good chance here to really match your video with sound reference. But well, add more steps if you want a crisp vectorialized look. It's always good to have more steps. And we don't want too many details. So let's reduce the candy resolution and drain the image. And let's also try to like launch a few variations, just to make sure, just in case. Oops, I think. Let me know if you can still hear me. I think my mic turned off.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, cool. So yeah, let's try a few variations just to see what works best. And we can also try this in Flux. So let's put like this, and let's say, I don't know, Alexandre, do you have any ideas? Anything that you'd like to see? I just put the classic robot, and we'll see how it goes. The wilder it is, the less likely it is that it will fail. Okay, let's say it was like Disney style. Stylize into a Disney character. Oh, I think this will get a strike. And with this version of the API, I think it will get a strike. We'll see. So we got some results here. There, see what I mean? This right here comes from the ghosting of the original image. So yeah, like if you see this without taking a closer look at your original video, sorry, you'll say, oh, what is that? It's actually here. It's not very visible, but it's a ghosting element in the video. So yeah. No prompting can fix that. It's just like I mean, yeah, you could, but just use a better video. So we could use this. That one's pretty cool, I guess. So let's use that one. Where did it go? Okay, let's delete this one. And for this one, I guess it's a man running. Anime. Let's keep it minimalistic. And let's launch it for 16 frames. Oh shit, it was v2.5. I made the mistake that I was warning you against earlier before. So there. Chicken point like this, yeah. Well, there we have this thing here that should allow you to cancel the render. But of course, if you have like automated the fact that when you render, you send it right now, like it defeats the purpose of doing that. And then maybe we can try maybe with a pose. No need for face mesh, so this should be fine. What about flux? Okay, it's weird a bit, but you know, it's something. I'm not sure. It's a very creepy Disney cartoon. I've never seen this before, but let's try it. That's the whole point, right? Because Disney will never make shit like that, so maybe you will. So let's try it like that. A man running, let's say 3D animation. And I feel good about this one. So let's actually launch it for 24 frames. Oh, but now I'm creating a queue. See? Oh, maybe we have more people rendering right now. So I guess the queue is getting a bit crowded. For V3, usually it's fine because renders are very fast. But of course, it means that for these renders right here, the ones that are like Q8th, 10th, it will take a bit of time. At the moment, we have a limited GPU pool, but that we can increase freely. So it's just a matter of, hence to the point, if you ever feel that you're stuck, that you don't have enough resources, please ping us on Discord so that we can add more VMs, more GPUs. And yeah, I guess I was doing the toxic guy. So this one, for example, you have two settings, two renders. You can see here that they're the same model. I guess this one is a bigger resolution, but you just control click and you compare them both, and you can see the differences here. So in this case, like one is rendered at 1280 and the other one is rendered at 1080. And you can see that it creates some differences. It creates some differences. The one that's at 1280, usually it's actually a bit more faithful. We can actually control click here and see like which one is closest, but you can see there are a bit more details here. So we did the DMD test. I don't know if we launched, this is what I was saying. Like at the moment, we're getting a few errors like this. We know that we have this issue. We're working on it. A fix should come in the next few days. But yeah, we have a few first look here, and the other one right here. And you can see the comparison right with this one. So the head is tracked pretty well, the background as well, and the mouth too. I guess the original character didn't have glasses, so it's like making this cool scar. But But yeah, like that's in the original video, there's a scream, but we'll be able to render this for the full duration. So this should work pretty well. And for this one, yeah, we'll have to wait. But generally speaking, you can make a lot of different things with Mago. I was taking some video, Jensen Huang, a Jedi with a small robot, and then a cyberpunk guy with his robot. You can also actually we presented this at Vivatech, French AI startup thing. So this is also Jensen Huang and Macron, and they became armor, and they became robots. And again, you can see that the initial image is a bit different. So you can see, like, if I put them all side by side, so yeah, you can actually do a lot of things. Alexandre, in the other way, starting with this kind of information, colorize it or making it CG style. Uh, I think a sketch should work. A sketch can work, but I think previs in the 3D sense would actually be the best candidate. Let me see if I have a good example. There was, I guess I started working on that with this Spider-Man guy. You can see, like, this is old Spider-Man footage. And yeah, the idea is I can stylize it into something that looks more like a final result. We're also working on an Unreal Engine film that we can do this way. And this, for example, is what you can achieve with a metahuman. So this is a metahuman, as you can see here. Let me see. And as you know, like getting a decent metahuman result is not that difficult. So yeah, previs to render is a really interesting and really cool workflow that we're super interested in. So if you want more help with that, we'd love to talk. We have like, it will be a bit too long to show, but we have a lot of Unreal Engine sequences that we're working on rendering. If at some point you're lost, you can go to your queue right here, and you can find everything that's been queued up. And for example, I was working on the DNT test. You can click here. You can see that this was rendered. What is the difference between this and this? This is, so this one, 3, this is pose. This is using the pose control net. This is using the depth control net. And you can see that they don't behave exactly the same. I don't know if you realize, but this is the depth. Like, it has different details. Pose has a different understanding. You might want to try both to see which one works best for your scene. And yeah, I think that's about it. We've covered a lot of different use cases, making toxic guys. But yeah, generally speaking, for everything that you saw with Flux context, this will be added to Mago pretty soon. So you'll be able to use this within Mago, hopefully with a much more lenient, not safe for work filter, because we value creativity more than whatever they're trying to do with that. But yeah, that's about it. Does anyone have any questions before we wrap this up? It's been, I guess, a bit less than an hour, but I think it's good enough already. All right, no questions. If you want to know anything, just please go to our Discord. We're always there. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. If you have a project that you're struggling with, you have a specific shot that you're struggling with, let us know. We'll be very happy to help you and show you how it's available. Where can we test it? Alexandre, if you're not already in the next batch, I will actually just make sure that you are in the way. That's like Remy. Remy, if you can add Alexandre to the shortlist for the next batch.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, Alexandre, you'll be receiving an email soon and you'll be able to test it. So yeah, that's about it for me. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time, and very, very keen to see what you'll be building with Mago. Thanks again, everyone. Take care. See you.